I'm Thor Gunderson, and once again, we're back for Just Asking for a Friend. The show we reach out into the community, we meet collectors, content makers, sculptors, people all throughout the collecting community. And today is going to definitely be one of my favorite days of doing this show because I've met folks throughout this journey of collecting and doing open mic and everything, but it's very few folks I can really say I talk to every day or really, 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 really good friends of mine. And this man is one of my road dogs. I talk to this guy almost every day. We talk football, definitely every Sunday during football season. Football, food, Star Wars statues, you name it. Me and this man are always rapping. And I'm talking about the one, the only, my Sith Lord brother, Dan, Dynamic Menace. Welcome to the show, my man.
It's quite the introduction. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's all true, all true. And I mean, when I say football, of course, it's weird that we good friends because this man a Patriot fan, I'm a Jet fan, but I gotta admit, that is a dope T-shirt, man. That thing is raw. Blow him up, producer. Show full screen. Just show that to the people because this how New England. That's how you need to make that logo. That is tight. You know what I'm saying?
Right on. Thanks, man.
Yeah, welcome, man. How you been?
Well, busy.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah. So yeah, what I like to do is to start out. I like to ask folks, before we get into collecting and how you became a fan or whatever and everything, and is where you grew up and how you got in, and we later like translate that. How do you got into pop culture and because of course Star Wars because and everything. So start with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was born in Bath, Maine. Oh, back in 1970. So, I'm 53 years old. Saw Star Wars in the theater when I was 7. So, that's really where my love started.
Yes,
with the pop culture, with the pop culture and Star Wars in general. Seeing that movie and just the characters and the toys. I mean, it's really where it really all starts was the merchandise. As far as the pop culture part of it. It's just been it's been a love of mine ever since then.
Right.
So very early on.
It still amazes me to this day that Fox did not claim the rights to all the merchandise. You know what I mean? I'm like, how could you let that? I mean, that, and I don't know, that just baffled me. Even when I was watching the making of and everything. So, obviously, clearly, Vader's your favorite character.
Yeah, he is my favorite. I love Chewbacca. He was one of my favorites as a kid.
Right.
Really, Chewbacca and Vader. I mean, those are really my two favorites. I like all the characters. Even there's even newer characters that were created from the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
Darth Maul, of course. I mean, he's a great character. I don't know, just the way Lucas's vision was in the story. It's just so great. I know a lot of it's a known fact that he took a little bit from this movie and took a little bit from that franchise to create what he had, but just how he did it and how he connects everything together is just it's just amazing. And it just I don't know, it just gives me joy inside, I guess.
Me too.
To see it. Yeah. I just love it all.
It's funny you say Chewbacca because I remember when I was going to see out, I'm not a big fan of the sequels, I know you're not either.
No.
But I remember going to see the last one and I just kept saying, I could care less what happens to none of these people. Mm-hmm. Just don't let that happen to Chewie.
Right.
I swear to God, I said that. I said, don't destroy the Falcon and don't let nothing happen to Chewie. Everybody else could get blown away. I could care less. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so speaking of that, I already know. How did you view the sequels when it came out?
Oh boy. Yeah.
Couple years, Rodney.
Yeah. So yeah, right. So this is why I'm so like how I feel about the sequels. Mm-hmm. So they hyped them all up. How we're doing practical effects and we're going to do this and we're going to take the same approach that Lucas took when he made the first original trilogies, which was Lucas, directed the first one, helped produce, but then he had two different directors for the next two films, practical effects, all that. I was like, all right, cool. Oh my God, this is going to be amazing. Some of the sneak peeks that they showed was like, oh wow, that like the stormtroopers was, kind of got things exciting and all that. So, we went to go see it, and it was, when did it came out? What, in February or something? It was in the middle.
It was 2011.
Yeah, but it was like in the winter time here where I'm at.
I think it was in December. It was in December.
Whatever it was freezing cold outside. It was
December. Yeah.
Stood in line for 2 hours to go watch this movie, The Force Awakens. 2 hours. My best friend from school, he's a super huge Star Wars fan himself. Mm-hmm. And he met us at the theater, and like it was quite a drive for him to come meet us where we went. It's kind of like halfway because we live pretty far apart, but we went there and we I brought my whole family, stood in line for 2 hours, went to the IMAX theater to see it. Mm. So we're standing in line, and finally after 2 hours we get to go inside because we're freezing, and get inside, and then it's a huge long line. We get in there, we sit down, they start playing the movie, and like when they first went through the first scenes there, I think it's at Jakku, wherever, I probably butchered that name, but wherever Rey was on that planet, all of that was really cool. Seeing the destroyed Star Destroyer and the X-wings and the TIE fighters, in the sand and the dirt or whatever, and her scavenging for stuff, like all that initial opening was really good. I was like, oh wow, this is going to be pretty amazing. And then it was just right downhill from there, and like literally, like I couldn't believe what I was watching, and I was just like, what is going on? And the overforced comedy, like it just I couldn't take it, and it just wasn't. It didn't feel like Star Wars to me from that point on. And when the movie was over, my friend and I, we walked out into the lobby area, and we just stared at each other like in such disbelief and utter, like, I don't know, we were just so drained. Like it was like, what did we just like? I can't believe what we just saw. Like, and not in a good way. It was like I was just so disappointed in all of it. Well, not all of it, but 3/4 of it at least, or however long it was after those first few scenes. And then the next two was just, after that I was like, you duped me once, I ain't gonna let you dupe me again. And I didn't go see them in the theater.
Wow.
The other two, I was like, no, I'm not doing it. And then sure enough, I just waited for them to come on TV to watch them. So that's how long I waited to see the sequels. I watched them, and it's just wasn't any good to me. For me, it wasn't good.
I hear you. It was okay. On the first movie, they lost me with that scene with Chewie and Han when they chased whatever this monster they were chasing around the ship, and I was like, what in God's name is this? And overall, the whole trilogy. And here's my problem with it. If you think about it, the original trilogy and the prequels are two different totally concepts, not even close to the same concept. To me, they tried to make their own original trilogy. Absolutely. And it's just a Disneyized version of their own original trilogy, And to me, it's just they were marketing, they trying to get, they're grabbing young, they're trying to grab new, they didn't make it for us.
Yeah.
And when I heard of Lucas's concept, that Darth Maul would be the quote unquote emperor or whatever, he's a crime boss, and Darth Talon would have been his apprentice. I said, man, they should have made that, but of course, kids are not going to relate to Darth Talon, scantily dressed and all that stuff. I said, that's why they didn't do that, so, and then another thing, again, me, Vader, my dude, I go to see the villain. When I see Kylo Ren out here crying and going off, and I was like, what is this, man? And then he loses. I was like, wait, I'm supposed to get behind and come back and see this for 2 more movies? So yeah, I was pretty much checked out. I went to go see him. Matter of fact, it was funny because I was with Collectiverse when the second one came out, and I wasn't gonna go. It was like, no, you gotta go see it so we can review it. I was like, all right. So I went to see it, and I started, yeah, this. I said, this sucks even worse than the first because the first one was okay. It wasn't, but it was all right. But it did kind of remind you a lot of New Hope, in my opinion. Like
kind of, sort of. I mean,
sorta.
The beginning kind of did remind me of that a little bit, but I don't know. I just,
I mean,
they went off the rails.
What I mean is like, okay, so they go to desert planet, and then they got to destroy Death Star.
Well,
and then she's kind of going on her own. And I mean, like, they changed it around a lot, but concept wise, it was kind of like,
well, of course. I mean, so this is why I don't think they really knew what they had. When they made the purchase, they thought it was going to be easy to, okay, yeah, we'll buy Star Wars and we'll just, how hard could it be to, to make the movies and to have them relate and connect to the other movies that have already came out. That was the main issue I had. The sequels are so disconnected, or at least they seem to me, they felt so disconnected from the original trilogy.
Yes.
Whereas the prequels, like you said, they were completely different than the original trilogies, but the connection was there. The way they connected, like the way Lucas wrote the story. Yeah, the prequels had their issues. They had the bad acting. There was some poor things, but the story itself is what was the constant. And the connection to the original trilogy. How Lucas had things, explain things from the original trilogy in the prequels was really cool. Yeah, he could have refrained from describing the midichlorians and all that. Some of the mystery for things for the Force, because that's really what really drew us in to the original trilogy was the mystery of everything. Like, I wonder what's this and what's that. So he could have refrained from explaining a few things, but the sequels, just the story was just all over the place.
Yeah, it was, and then of course they got to Luke, which everybody lost their minds over. And in a way, I wasn't mad about it in this aspect because Yoda kind of was the same way. He didn't want to train Luke and all that kind of stuff. But I think I was disappointed because you read the Nassau Legend comic books. You read how powerful Grandmaster Luke was and everything. And I was disappointed we didn't get to see that. Like, if he would have really walked out there at the end of the movie and just held up his hand and lifted like 3 AT-ATs, and I'm like, okay, now we're going, that nobody would complain about The Last Jedi, in my opinion, if we just saw that. And to me, the Kylo people would have had more of an argument about him being up there with Vader, because if we saw Luke do that and then he came out there and beat Luke in a duel, then it's like, okay, then what, you can't say nothing. You know what I mean? But like him not like being a force projector, I was like, come on, y'all.
And see, that's another thing too. They did away with the EU, and then they want to cherry pick here and there. I'm sorry. I'm just sorry. They went about it the wrong way. They never should have exiled. I mean, it's almost like they exiled Lucas. Okay, well, this is ours now. See you later.
Right.
They should have kept him on and
they should have
and kept him involved in some way. He didn't want to. He wanted to sell it so someone would keep making the movies, but I don't think he himself really thought it through and be like,
right.
Well, I want to be a part of it.
Right.
I think he really did want to be a part of it, and for them to do it that way and not involve him and not to do his draft for those next 3 films, how? I mean, I have an analogy of it. Disney bought a gold mine. Disney bought a diamond mine, but they choose to go down the road and dig for gold. And they just wrong decision after wrong decision. It's just, don't even get me going on some of them series.
No, I got you. Oh, well, I was about to ask you about that. So what do you think about? I know you wasn't a big fan of the Kenobi series, but what about Mandalorian? How you feel about that?
Yeah, the Mandalorian is good. I would say it hasn't progressively gotten better.
No, I
No,
agree with that.
the first season was great. I thought.
Mhm.
I mean, there was some episodes. I mean, it's a TV series. You're going to have filler episodes, and it's not going to be as good as some of the others. Season 2 was good. It was good. The ending with Luke coming out. I mean, that was that was Rogue One-esque with Vader. Coming in.
True.
Yeah. Third season. A lot of contradiction going on.
Yeah.
A lot of things like, I don't know. It's, you think they're going to go one way and they lead you this way, but then they go the other way with it. But it's like, it doesn't make any sense. So
Yeah, the whole training Grogu as a Mandalorian, I was like, yeah, no, we can't really do this. So, I'm thinking if he had a function, then I think I would like him a whole lot more. Like if he would have stayed with Luke and got trained and then came back and rode, man, like, because I was thinking if he was trained, he could wipe out every Mandalorian on that beach.
Oh, easily.
You know what I mean? So it's like, what are y'all doing? That's the whole thing with that.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that either. I think that's a bit ridiculous. But to touch on that, I think Grogu's having second thoughts because you kind of look at it there and he's having flashbacks of, when you have that flashback of the Jedis there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think he wants to be a Mandalorian. That's just what I read from it, watching this past season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I just, something told me that, like, I know he loves, Mando. I know he loves him and whatnot, but I think he's so strong and so connected with the Force. Like, okay, I mean, basically he's Yoda, but he's a baby, I still think there's an aspect of him that, I mean, maybe they're leading it up to where maybe he leaves that whole Mandalorian thing and there's going to be a whole series where he's, the Jedi or something. I mean, I don't know what Disney has planned, so.
Right.
I mean, it's just, I'm theorizing, so.
So how do you feel about, I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic, but how do you feel about this Ahsoka show coming out?
Man, I
don't want to get too hyped. That's all I'm saying.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've come to learn not to be like, and get all hyped out and excited for it, because I don't want to be let down. I mean,
exactly.
It comes back down to the Force Awakens. I was like that when that came out, and I mean, that was a punch to the gut, really. I mean, it just felt so deflated. Like, oh God, I wanted to throw up. I mean,
I don't think it was that bad, but it was pretty bad.
Well, I felt that way. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it.
No, I know exactly what you mean.
So disappointed. It's just like, I mean, I try to look on the good things, and focus on that, but the bad outweighs the good. It just, for me, it outweighed the good. I mean, I know everybody has their own, way of how they see things. And if people like it, that's okay. I mean, if you like it, cool.
Fine. Yeah.
But don't sit there and say people who didn't like it are idiots because they didn't like it, because, you have no reason not to like it. It's like, well, I can give you about 100 reasons as to why I didn't like it, and they're legitimate reasons as to why. Just, the Kenobi series, that's perfect example. So
I'm glad you segued into that, because we were going to do that, then I was going to do Rogue One, and we got it to Collective. But
we can go however you want.
So Kenobi series, break that down for me.
Oh man. So I was like, I mean, to sum it up is just basically blatant disrespect of canon. I mean, I know a lot of people didn't like the villain there, the girl that played the main villain and all that, and her acting was bad and all that, which, I mean, yeah, okay, maybe so, but that wasn't what it was for me. It was the one thing I was really looking forward to was when, in the very beginning of the series, when Kenobi goes out to the desert to unbury the sabers, no music to hook you in, to make you think back of when he fought Anakin and sliced him and left him there to die, like that. I don't know, not Duel of Fates, but whatever that music is that they played when he was on the high ground.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, that theme music, like not even a not even a smidgen of that playing in the background or something. Like if that would have played, like that would have hooked you in. You're like, oh my god, like that pulls on the heartstrings. Like in just to go back to Revenge of the Sith, in that scene when he says, you were my brother, Anakin, I loved you. Like for me, that whole scene, like all of the prequels from the first two movies, like it all flashed in front of my eyes, like when he was a little kid, and like how everything all led up to that point. It's like, oh my god, like it was just pulling on the heartstrings, and then they didn't touch on that in Kenobi, and then the whole him with Leia, and just oh my gosh, and then
that was kind of
and then Vader. As much as everybody loved that battle between Kenobi and Vader, when Kenobi kicks his ass again, never ever should have happened. Never should have happened. Never should have happened.
I tried to tell y'all. What
did that do? That just diminished Vader as the most feared character in all of Star Wars, or at least the saga of Star Wars. That's all that did. I mean, they show him so super powerful, and he pulls the ship out of the sky. And
thank you very much. And this guy been on the shelf for 10 years, and he seen Vader maybe a week ago, and all of a sudden, I was like, really, y'all, really,
And I just that whole thing, like, it's funny. I just was talking to my buddy about it the other day about Kenobi and the Book of Boba Fett. Now, we all know how the Book of Boba Fett was. For me, it had many issues, and it wasn't that good. I don't know if Kenobi was better than the Book of Boba Fett, story-wise. I mean...
Okay, yeah, I see what you mean with that.
Yeah. So I probably have more issues with Kenobi just because, things didn't go how I wanted it, because things didn't go how it should have gone due to canon that was laid out in before that even happened. Like, because it's the story that nobody knew about, we can do what we want. No, you really can't. But that's how I saw the Kenobi series.
Yeah, when they were making it, I was like, no, because I knew he was gonna lose, because what he says in A New Hope, he goes, I was the learner, now I'm the master. I'm like, I mean, he gonna lose, and that bothered me. I was like, yeah, no, that shouldn't be happening. But anyway, the few parts that I did enjoy, one was him getting Vader dragging him to the fire and everything. But the one thing I loved about it is that he ran from him.
Mm-hmm.
And when the people teased me, I said, look, y'all can tease me. It's at least we ain't run. I said, your man ran. That's your boy Kenobi. When he fought the girl and then he pulled his lightsaber out, I was like, that was tight. You know what I mean? And that was gangster. I mean, I know, I understand with the last battle, but the one thing about the last battle that I do love is when he told him, he said, you didn't kill Anakin. He said, I killed. And so even though he lost, he got to live with that he got to sleep with that at night and think about that all the time. Mm-hmm. So that was one positive out the whole, because I was mad too. I was like, man, he lost. But then when he did that to him, I was like, that might have been even worse than him winning. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I like that line too, but I just still, that line could have been said without having that fight.
Oh, true. Yeah.
And then, you touch back on A New Hope when he says, last time, we met each other, I was but the learner, you are now the master. But that could have all played back into the Revenge of the Sith, where he just, left him to die. I don't know, man. I honestly feel that battle never should have taken place.
And plus, I think I kind of like it better that they hadn't seen each other since Mustafar.
Yeah.
And it kind of like, because he looked, and when you see A New Hope, he looks more shocked to see it. Like if he's already seen him in the suit, then he ain't gonna be shocked really. But like when he saw him in A New Hope, he's like froze in his tracks, like, oh my god, like that's Anakin. You know what I mean? But anyway, one last thing about the movies before we get to collected. How'd you feel about Rogue One? Because in my opinion, out of all the Disney stuff, that's their crowning achievement, in my opinion, because that's the main one that really felt like the old days to me.
Oh, absolutely.
The aerial battles and Vader and all that stuff. So touch on that for a second.
Yeah, I mean that's a Star Wars movie without having Jedi in it. Well, without having a lot of Jedi in it and all that. Yeah, I mean it is their best movie that they've done. Now I'm going to say, Solo is Star Wars. I'm just going to
I
say that
love
right
Solo too.
now.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, they probably could have gotten someone else to play the guy, maybe,
true.
and maybe not had Woody Harrelson in there and all that. But I really enjoy. I think maybe the guy who played Lando Calrissian didn't do a bad job.
I thought they did great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and but uh, the way Ron Howard filmed that, like Ron Howard gets it. Like he knows what Star Wars is. He knows how you have just a little bit of the adult comedy and humor in it. L3. Okay. But Rogue One was, I mean, yeah, I mean, it was amazing. And then I don't care what anybody says, when Vader shows up and we see Vader in action for the very first time, how, you ever seen Vader, lay waste, rebels like he did was, I mean, I was goosebumps all over me. I was just like, oh my God, like this is amazing. So, um, and the way Edwards, yeah, the director, the way he spliced in the deleted, like there was added footage in
Oh
the
yeah,
archive
yeah,
in the
yeah.
battle that was from 1977,
Mm-hmm.
and plop them in. You can't tell.
Mm-mm.
That right there is a perfect reason and a perfect example as to why if Star Wars came out today, okay, that's why Star Wars is timeless, because you you can bring out and put scenes up and see it, and people are going to see it and they're going to enjoy it because of what it is, and it just, yeah, Edwards is just, he got it too. And another thing that Edwards has in common with Ron Howard, okay, and I kind of think this is why maybe this is why these were somewhat more successful than the other films, was they brought Lucas in for a week.
Mm.
Look, this is what we're doing here. This is what we're doing there. Edwards himself said, yeah, I brought Lucas in for a week. I asked him what he liked, what he didn't like. He told me, yeah, I like this, I don't like that, and all like that. He says, everything he said he liked, I kept. Everything he said he didn't like, I got rid of. So,
Sound good to me.
shame on you, Disney. Shame on you.
Anywho, we gonna stop our rants on Disney. So
All right.
transit.
Correct the ship.
Yeah. No. I mean, I got no problem with it, but it's we got eventually we got to get to collecting. So,
Yeah.
where did your collecting journey, far as statues or getting into collecting? What was like your first transition in the statue collecting or props or everything like that?
My very first statue, okay, I purchased back in 2000, and that was the Sideshow Collectibles A New Hope Darth Vader
Oh wow, okay.
premium format. Yeah, I mean, then I was like, oh my God, it's the size. Because see, before that, I was an I was an action figure collector.
Okay.
I was collecting, I had all of the Phantom Menace, all of the Attack of the Clones, and all of the Revenge of the Sith, all of the action figures, all of the play sets, the ships. Like, I mean, I probably had, of course, this was back in, the late 90s. So, I mean, I had probably over $10,000 worth of action figures. I collected all of the Marvel Legends, superheroes. I had all of the Spawn. I had Spawn series 1 through 30. Yeah, so I mean, I was heavy hard into the action figure scene, and I'm talking keeping them in the package, not opening them, all that.
Right.
So I did that in 2000. I think I was online, and I saw it, and I was like, wow, like that's amazing. So I purchased it and I got it, and I mean, I've kind of been hooked ever since. And then that was my first entry into the high-end collectible market. And my second piece was the Darth Maul premium format.
Mm.
The first one they did, and then I got the Darth Maul life-size bust that they did, and then I was like, man, this is expensive, and so that's when I made the decision. Well, to help fund this, I'm going to sell all my action figures,
Oh wow.
and that's what I did. So I sold that, and then a few years went by. I got a few other pieces, comic book pieces. I think I had the Spider-Man comiquette, the Incredible Hulk comiquette, and then that's when I don't know. I was online, and then I saw the whole that whole custom. I saw a Superman is what it was. It was a custom made Superman.
Mhm.
Contacted the guy who made it. It was an artist, and I was like, hey, that's really cool. Do you have any more? And then just from there, that's how I got into doing, becoming a producer. And I produced my first piece. It was a Batman Beyond back in
Okay.
2010 or 2011. Well, it started in 2010, but it didn't actually get released until 2011. But then I did that, and then I got into molding and casting and producing garage kits, and I did that for quite a few years. I actually produced the Lou Ferrigno trophies that he had for his bodybuilding competition there a few years ago.
Oh wow.
Did that for 3 years. My buddy Chris Epting did the sculpt. I molded and casted his sculpt, and produced the copies, and then I shipped them off to my really good friend Rafael Robledo Jr. out in California, and he built and painted them for the competition, and then Lou's agent or his representative of his competition came over with his son and picked up the trophies for the competition. So that was the highlight. That was really the highlight of my producer career so far. So, and then I just got into doing what I'm doing now. So
Right. So what would you suggest to somebody who was thinking about getting into producing pieces? What would be your suggestion to them? Like,
don't do it. No. Well, I'd say it's a commitment. If it's something that you want to do. The one thing that I was told when I first became a producer, and I'll never forget it. He was kind of my mentor at the beginning, and he was an artist, and I'm not going to name names, but he told me, he said, as a producer, he says, there's one rule that you have to, the one rule that you need to make sure that you uphold is always deliver. So if you're planning to be a producer, you better make sure to deliver and always keep communication open. Don't don't ghost people. If people have questions and want answers, you do whatever you can to help them to any way you can. And then as far as I mean, everybody has not everything can be a statue, I guess, so to speak. You have to think things out thoroughly on what you want to do. Always have a plan, and have things in order for your artists the best you can. And it's pretty much all I can really advise them on how to do it. It's and like I said, it's like for me, like I always make myself available no matter what I'm doing. Right here.
Right.
See that right there? There isn't any reason that any producer ever can't answer a question and can't contact or reply to a message from one of their people about one of their pieces that they have right there. So, and it takes, what, 10 seconds, 30 seconds at the most to reply. So always keep the communication lines open and be prepared. Be prepared, to be responsible, and you've got a lot of things that a lot of people that rely on you to deliver the product that they want, and make sure that you deliver the best quality product as possible. I mean, that's what I try to do. So
Well, even my little limited experience, because you and I worked on a switch out head for the PF, the premium format Kylo Ren, the first one, because they came out with another one since then. But the
right,
first one, it didn't have a switch; it just had the helmeted head. So we
yeah,
was like, maybe we could make a, so we made a unmasked, unhelmeted head, and it came out great. And even that was kind of, just making a head was I was like, wow, this is a lot. Just to
yeah, it is a lot. You get a. I mean, that's another thing too. Like, I wouldn't, not everybody can be a producer. Like,
hmm.
I mean, some people may, that's easy, I can do that. But when you start getting into doing it, and I mean, I'm not going to get into too much, just because it's a lot. It really is a lot. But being able to, there's a lot of art direction involved, depending on who you hire as an artist. And look, the artists that I work with are unbelievable. They're very talented, and it's good to work with an artist that sees your vision and wants to achieve the same goal that you do. You can't just, okay, here's a piece of artwork. Here you go, artist. This is what I want. Do it. It's more than that. It's so you got to be able to see things and recognize things like anatomy and body language and things that look natural. I mean, if you're going straight up comic and want to copy the artwork, then I mean, that there's nothing wrong with that, but you got to be able to know how to work with the artist and get them to. So, I mean, sometimes it goes smoothly. You don't even really have to say anything to them. Say, this is what I want, and okay, here you go. Okay, great. You nailed it. So it's, like I said, it's a lot of work that goes into doing it. It's not. I mean, realistically, the creating the pieces is the funnest part of all for me. Dealing with everybody else. Not that I don't like dealing with people, but just that's a lot of work. It's like that's the biggest part of it. Like creating the art is just that's really a small portion of being of what a producer is. Having to deal with the people that want to have what you're offering and dealing with them all the time, and and then making sure that they're receiving the product that you're making for them. So it's just think long and hard before you do it, because a lot of people are depending on you to do it, and if you don't, then it's real easy to tuck your tail and run and hide on social media. I mean, I've seen ever since I've been a producer since 2010, there's probably been at least 10 producers that have taken people's money and ran and disappeared. And I mean, it's a shame. I mean, that's something I'll never do. If I have a project that I'm not, it isn't going to happen, then everybody who's funding the project, gets their money back.
So for you personally, what has been your favorite piece that you've produced so far? It's a hard question.
You know which one.
Oh yeah. Oh, that one. Yeah. That one is funny because okay, with Vader, there's several. Obviously, but for people who don't know, it's subtle differences between each movie. It isn't like a great difference. I'd say the biggest difference between A New Hope going into Empire, because of the red lenses and all that, But anyway, so my theory always been I don't need 10 Vaders. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
But man, when I really got a good look at that one, And then plus I was going through, divorce and all this stuff, so I couldn't really order a lot of pieces. Yes, it is what it is. But and then like when the dust settled and I saw people, like I think when Rome got it, and I said, man, that thing is sick. You know what I mean? And so that's one, if I ever get a chance to get a hold of one, I definitely we're talking about he made the New Hope Vader. He's gonna make one for each, Jedi and Empire and all that stuff. But that New Hope one, man, that thing is special.
Yeah, that's my friend. That's a dream piece. That piece I wanted to produce for. I mean, I would say probably. I mean, it stems back to when I got the Sideshow premium format, because as awesome as that piece was, it had a lot wrong with it. Like, as far as I know a lot of people don't care about accuracy. They care about the character himself. But for me, when I look at a piece, I want to look at that, and I want that feeling that I got when I saw him in A New Hope. That's what I want. And when I looked at the Sideshow premium format, I wasn't getting it. And then, like, I don't know, from there on, I was like, man, I always had that in the back of my mind. That'd be cool to make one day. That'd be cool to be able to make one day. And then I don't know. The pop culture gods blessed me with meeting the right people and being able to get the right assets in order to create that. But I always wanted to make the most film accurate A New Hope Darth Vader, that's been made. And I mean, I feel that I've done that. For me, I'm happy with it. So yeah, I mean, that's the one. That's the one that. I don't really have any room anymore to display anything anywhere, so I don't have been able to display my copy anywhere. But I'm working on that. But it's definitely that one. It's definitely that one. Just because
it's funny you bring this up, accuracy and canon and all this stuff. How do you feel about this new mythos Vader that's out with these flaming lightsabers and all that kind of mess? You see,
I guess you can't see him, but he's back there.
Oh God!
Yeah, no,
it's hurting my vision, man. Oh,
the flaming saber. Yeah, I don't know why they did that. I mean,
thank you.
It didn't really make much sense. I don't display it with that, but
it's hideous.
I'm gonna, I mean, I do feel that the cape is a little bit too wavy, but it reminds me of that Japanese artwork of the wave. You know what I'm talking?
Yeah, I do.
Never remember.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I don't remember the artist's name, but that's what that reminds me of. Look, man, I'm going to tell you, the Kirk. I always butcher their name. The Kirkachuk brothers, or
Kucherik.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, the sculpt is on point.
No, I agree. I mean, it looks fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I bag on it, but it's just I just can't get over this. And then you don't got to put it on. I'm like, I just know it's there. I just can't do it.
What, the flaming saber?
The flaming saber, yeah, I can't.
Yeah. I mean, but I didn't buy it for the flaming saber. I bought it because it's Vader, and he's on that X-wing engine. It's just, and I mean, he's all battle damaged up. It's just a really cool take on him. So, and it's unique. Compared to I have the original Mythos Vader, which that one, I thought at the time that one there was a very accurate stylized Vader. I mean, it still is.
That thing is special.
But dude, man, I'm telling you, those guys did an amazing job on that helmet. Like, and look, with my Vader piece, I mean, that took me 2 years with the artist that I was working with to finally get done. Like, we worked on that sculpt for 2 years, making sure every bit of detail was as film accurate as possible, from his proportions to his body with the suit, the chest box. There was those parts that we did, the cape. I mean, just everything, and how the size of the helmet fitting on the body, just matching reference after reference after reference from all different angles, from behind the scenes, like the ring, how many ribs he has on his A New Hope gloves, which I think I think it's 11. I could be wrong. I can't remember. It's either 11 or 13. I think it's 11. And yeah, I mean, just matching every little bit of detail like that, and just like even like on the helmet, even though it was a digital scan of a copy of a helmet that was it had film lineage. It was the DJ helmet, that and the shoulder armor and the shin pads. Like, so it has film lineage to the prop. I mean, it's not direct film lineage, but it's lineage nonetheless. You know, I mean, if so, but all the digital scan had to be like all the edges and the details, like all the like the C scar on the wearer's cheek, like that all had to be, you know, we had to go in there and, you know, put it all in there and, you know, amplify things back up and clean the files up. But it was a daunting task, but you know, it's worth it. You know, like I want to put all the effort I can into it to make it the best it can be. I try to do that for every piece I make. So, but yeah, no, that I know you're not a fan of it, but I think, I don't know if you've ever seen it in person, but
I haven't. No.
I think if you did, you'd be like, wow, it is. I mean, I was a bit skeptical at first, and like I said, the cape I felt is a little too wavy, but I can see it's more of an, you know, the artistic side of it. But dude, I'm telling you that the thing is on point. The helmet looks awesome. The portrait is awesome. The robotic limbs that are showing through, you know, just the overall battle damage. But yeah, for Flaming Saber, just, I mean, I don't understand. I don't know where they got that from. So
they wanted something to look cool, but you know, just like my man said in Jurassic Park, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like,
No, I get it.
Christ.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny you say that because, you know, listening to, and even with at the time with my limited, you know, this when I first got in collecting, I remember first time we went to the comic book shop, they had the second Vader PF, the one where he's walking up the steps, when he's doing this old age shit.
The
Jedi one, yeah. And I didn't like it; just looked cheap to me, you know. And it was especially after seeing yours and to me the Iron Studios it was lacking a lot of detail in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Do you have the Iron Studios one or no?
All right, so I have that Return of the Jedi one. I also have the Rogue One that Sideshow did.
Okay.
I did have the Iron Studios. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I owned it. I opened it, looked at it, and I know a lot of people love that one, and I do. I you know, the concept of him being on Hoth, like I love that entire concept of that. You know, the pose is good, but seeing it up close in person, there was just a lot that just wasn't, you know, for me personally. Like,
I got you.
You know, the helmet wasn't bad, but it really wasn't as accurate as it should have been. The chest box seemed way too big. With his arm coming across like this, it's really thin, and it's all cut out. It's just, I don't know. It's not a bad one, you know, but for me personally, you know, I mean, for me personally at the time, the Mythos Vader was the best.
Yeah,
one.
I agreed with that.
Compared to that one. I don't understand. Everyone's, oh, well, you know, it's only 1/5 scale. Well, that size doesn't matter to me. You know, that thing could have been 6 inches tall, and, you know, I'd still love it just as much if it could retain all the detail that's on it. But no, I mean, the Iron Studios is a nice one, but I don't see it or put it on the pedestal like a lot of people like to put it on.
Right.
But that's just me personally. You know, doesn't mean it's not a good piece. Because it is. But I just, you know, I mean, I don't know what was entailed in creating it.
So, okay, here's a good question. You know, as long as you've been collecting, you've probably sound like you've been in the statue game pretty much from the beginning, like, you know, from Sideshow and everything.
Almost.
How do you view that, you know, from then community then to nowadays? Like, you know, how do you feel about the community, the current state, you know, just not the state of the union, but the state of the community? You know what I'm saying?
Well, So as far as the community goes, okay.
Mhm.
Now, when you say community, like, so what I knew of the community was Statue Forum, the Clubhouse,
Mhm.
Statue Marvels, and I think it was Garage Kits USA. I think was another forum. Um, like I was only part of forums. I wasn't on Facebook. Like
Mhm.
I didn't get on Facebook until 2000, like the end of 2014, like in
Okay.
December 2014. So, but really 2015. And from the time that I've come into the hobby and community, from since 2010,
Mhm.
um, I mean, as far as what has changed, well, there's a lot more producers. That's for one.
Very
There's
true.
There's a lot more statue companies. A lot more statue companies that there was since then. Like, I mean, back then there was only. I mean, there was really only Sideshow, Gentle Giant,
Mm.
um, who
Diamond,
else?
which was Diamond Select, I guess.
Black,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
Kotobukiya. I
That
think
was
those
my
were,
first. It's called
yeah, I think
Kid.
those are
Yeah.
really the only ones that
Bowen
were.
and Bowen.
Well, Bowen, right?
Bowen.
I was never a Bowen collector. Look. He kind of started it. He kind of started that whole thing too.
Mhm.
Like I didn't mean, like when I said, the Garage Kit started it all. That's true, but he was really, like, if it wasn't for Bowen, like he really is like
The
the
Godfather.
grandfather or
Yeah.
godfather of the statue community. I personally never collected any of his comic pieces. And he basically, I mean, his are perfect examples of how you take a comic piece, or a comic book work of art,
Yes.
2D, and translate it into a
Yes.
3D sculpt.
Yes.
So, and he's worked with, he's a sculptor himself, but he's also hired other great, talented sculptors over the years to do stuff for him. So, but yeah, I mean, as far as that, like the statues, the companies, there's a there's collectors coming and going every day. Some are, I've been doing this forever. I'm out. I'm sure I mean, we don't live forever. I mean, not that I'm gonna, but I mean, crap, I could probably drop dead after the show. So, and
Please
then,
don't.
yeah, right. No, please don't.
Please don't.
But coming and going. I mean, and there's a lot of YouTube channels. Like this whole social media aspect of it. Like the whole social media aspect of it. Granted, I can't really say. I mean, Bushy probably could probably touched on that when you interviewed him,
Mhm.
because I think he had been on Facebook for. I know he was on there before I was, so he may be, better to answer that question, I guess. But for me, from what I've seen and from what I was a part of, because I was really totally against Facebook. I didn't really want to be a part of it.
Me either.
But I had to, like, the number one thing with Facebook. It's a great social media network.
Yes,
where
it
you
is.
connect with thousands of people across the world. So, but as far as changing or what has changed, I'd say the biggest thing is the amount of producers there are and that have come and have gone. I want to say there's probably just as many producers that have come that have gone, from then until now.
Okay. So we running short on time. So it's something I always wondered, because I know mine. What's your second favorite, like, sci-fi sort of genre? Like after Star Wars, what would it be?
Oh boy. I don't know. I don't know if I really have a favorite. I mean, I like Aliens.
Predator's mine. Mine is
Yeah, Predator.
Predator.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
I'm not really a Predator. I mean, it's not that I don't like Predator. I mean, it's cool and all, but I don't know. I kind of like the Aliens a little more because of Alien, the movie Alien.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't really, honestly, I don't really have one to, not to be.
No, that's cool. Yeah, to this day, and my mother loves Predators. It's crazy because my mom loves Darth Vader as much as I do, And she really, really, really loves Predator, you know. And to this day, she said, "You need to get a Predator statue." And I'm trying to explain to Mom, I'm just sticking to, you know. Now I know, but I was like, well, how about I get you a Predator statue?
There you go. Right?
You know,
for her, and you can keep it at your place.
Right. So okay, so quickly winding down because I know you like you said the Batman Beyond. So like you're DC guy also too, right?
Well, so my favorite show growing up was The Incredible Hulk. I mean,
okay,
that was that was my show. Like I love that show so much. Like I really related to that show. The don't make me angry or you'll be
right.
Sorry if you do, but just because I just related to it so much and I loved it so much. I used to put my little brother's clothes on and tear out of them. But it'd make my mother so mad, because I do it all the time,
man.
But that's probably like, I mean, even to this day, it's just that show was the way they did it. It was really cool. It was really amazing how that all went down. And yeah, Bill Bixby, the greatest banner ever. Like no one's gonna top him,
right?
In my opinion, But I mean, yeah, I mean, I am a DC guy. I mean, who isn't? I mean, who doesn't like DC? I mean, you have to be a young kid probably not to like DC. I mean, I'm from the older generation, or at least my age, growing up. Superman, Batman. I mean, that was everything. The Super Friends. Every Saturday.
I remember
Super Friends. What I'm saying. So, and then in the 90s there was, there was
the series. Yeah.
Right. So which was a great series, but I grew up with Super Friends, so but hey, in the 90s it was the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even though I was older, I mean, I watched that show religiously every time it was on. So, the Transformers, Thundercats, all that, But yeah, I mean, I'm a DC guy, but I'm also a Marvel guy. Hulk's my favorite big, strong, not bad guy, but superhero.
Really,
yep.
I never knew that.
Yep. Hulk is for sure.
You learn something new every day. I like the Bixby show, but I think I can't remember which. I think I saw the Bixby show first, but the Marvel the one with after it came on after Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, when Stan Lee would come on and say, "Get ready, true believers, today," and I'd run and go get my cereal, and I'd be, you know what I mean? And
Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. That's another one that I loved watching.
Yeah, and then the Hulk would come on, and
yes, and then the Hulk.
To this day, for some reason, it still stands out to me that the episode where they had that yellow stuff. And it was like eating everything on the base, and then it wouldn't mess I guess the gamma from the Hulk's body made it retreat. That's the one that like stands out the most. That episode. Mm-hmm. For some, I remember some other ones, but that one just for some reason was for me is like the embodiment for that show and everything. But man, I wish we could keep going, man. But an hour done gone by already. Ain't that crazy?
I can't believe it. Yeah, we just started.
Yeah, we didn't even get to talk about Brady and them.
Well, hey, I mean, we're going to be playing the Jets,
I know, man,
twice this year at least. So I don't know, maybe we can hook up and watch one of the games together. And
yeah, I still wish you could make the cookout, man, because we're gonna make the dark side ribs.
I know.
Yeah, but no, it's cool, brother.
I really wish I could make it. I don't know. Maybe one of these years I can get lucky and I can get out and get down there. But,
I can't tell you how many times man said freeze dry some of them things and send them to me.
Yeah, freeze that shit. Send it up there. I mean, you're not that far away, right?
No, I mean, I might have to look into that and see if I can, because I've seen people. I mean, I've seen people mail like bakery stuff and stuff before. I don't know, people be mailing ribs, but maybe if I could what's the thing? Cryovac some maybe somehow.
Cryovac, freeze them, overnight them.
I'm gonna look into
that. I mean, if you make you're going to Jersey,
yeah,
right? So I'm in Maine, so that's a lot closer,
right? On that note, y'all, thanks again for coming on, my man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's all good. So, hey, look, we catch y'all the next time on Just Ask for a Friend. Catch you next time, everybody.